Oh, we're rolling.
Yeah. See, when you get old enough, you kind of lose focus. It happens. Joe just celebrated a birthday as he approaches his half-century mark.
Dude, I am so far away from 50.
Just saying.
I mean, I'm not just turned 30.
Getting there.
Yeah. 45. Feel like I'm 25 after waking up and moving around for a couple hours, getting the kinks worked out.
Hearing the snap, crackle, pop.
Maybe a little bit.
Hey, so interesting stat, folks. We were looking at some of our stats from 2022 on the Industrious podcast, and one thing that jumped out to me is 87% of the viewers of our episodes are not subscribers. So my reaction to this, thank you for watching, first of all. We appreciate you guys tuning in to the episodes we put out over 2022. But if you haven't subscribed, please do so. It doesn't cost you a single penny. It takes you like 1 second to do it. So if you feel obliged to hit that subscribe button, please do so. We would greatly appreciate that.
But mostly thank you to the 13% of the people that are subscribed.
That's correct.
We like you more.
So we did a kind of a halfway or a midway through the year review back in July. A little bit different setting. We weren't in the studio. We were fortunately enjoying the Tuscan countryside, but
we were on remote location.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. R&D.
R&D for sure.
But now it's time to kind of look back at the full year in review, in particular that second half of the year, and how things have gone, and then at the very end we'll touch on what we think this year. We're 1 month into it, what 2023 looks like.
Did you know that 2022 was the year of the water tiger?
I did
That's
not know
the year
that.
we just concluded, the year of the water tiger.
Water tiger. Okay,
Yes.
I'll write that one down.
Yeah. I don't know what a water tiger is. If it's an actual like animal, like big cat that's just likes to like play in the water, or is it like a type of flower or a plant? I have no idea.
I'm gonna go with a tiger that enjoys hanging in the water.
That works.
Yeah. I just refer to it as the year of the deuce. You know, that's just not quite the water tiger, but it is what it is. So you got a few notes. How would you blanket statement summarize the second half of 22?
The second half? Well, the second half of 2022 was actually, I would say, really the beginning of change from the first half of 22. If you said describe the first half of 22, I would say, well, the first half of 22 was like pretty much all of calendar year 21, where 2021 as almost a 12-month calendar year wasn't different from January of 21 to December of 21, and everything in between was the same. It's frenetic, crazy, lots of price increases, incredibly strong business demand, still a little COVID hangover for sure, and just trying to keep up with things and find inventory and so on and so forth. The first half of 2022 was carryover of 21, where we had continued price increases, strong business demand. I would say inventory, the ability to find and maintain inventory started to level off in the first half of the year. Things were very good. The second half of 2022, we started to see some change, which is carried into this new year. Business demand remained very strong. Their materials continued to increase, although at a slowing rate. Things like freight costs, labor costs, things directly impacting business that are indirect costs that are tied to business started to really catch up with some of our direct costs of like materials and cost of goods sold in terms of increases. And a lot of that was tied to, inflation was obviously a big buzzword, but mostly in the second half of the year. Rising interest rates really started to kick in the last half of the year. And as we know from just as recent as yesterday, that the rates continue to increase. Cost of living for general consumers really started to catch up in the second half of the year. The price of fuel, which obviously came back down some, or went down some, it's kind of starting to come back up some. It's just it's kind of that normal game. So I think there definitely has been a little bit of a shift in the second half of the year, especially the fourth quarter, where we started to see some corrections, and by correction I mean softening in some of the specific industries that we serve when it comes to business demand. But then, of course, there was one big thing specific to us, project-wise, that was from the acquisition standpoint, that really kind of changed the landscape for us, or added to the landscape for us. That has taken and continues to take a lot of attention and energy, and it mostly in a good way, though.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. I think we stayed busy throughout the whole year, but to your point, the interest rate hikes have started to certainly have their effect. Some industries have took a dip, especially those that tend to lead the economy. RV, for example, has taken a dip for sure. But like I said, they tend to lead things down, and then, of course, hopefully lead things on the way out. Other aspects still remain busy from the backlog. The interesting thing as we look into 2023, now that we're a month into it, when do some of these other industries start taking their dip? And we expect some of them to do that, but to the extent of that dip, we don't know. I've had multiple conversations where people have talked about they think it will dip to 2019 levels. And if you look at the percentage on that versus 2022, it sounds worse than it really is. But if you talk to most companies and said, well, how did you do in 2019? Not figuring 2020 through 2023 or 2022, but how was 2019 versus 2018? Most people say it was a record year for us. So sure, it's a step back from where you are today, but it's not the end of the world. That's for sure. It's not 29. It's not 2009.
Certainly. Don't bring up those memories. 2019, I've gone back and looked at our numbers, because if you compare back the last couple of years, it's sort of a false flag. In 2020 in particular was a completely jacked up year, because really the first quarter of 2020 for us was a nice continuation of 2018, 2019, and moving forward. And then obviously at the very end of March is when COVID hit, and our revenues for April were about 50% of normal. And then, May, June, July, as we've told that story, kind of started to climb back out. And then once you hit end of third quarter, fourth quarter of 2020, all the way through the end of the third quarter of 2022, I would call that like extreme COVID bounce. Consumer demand combined with sales growth through price increase. So if you really want to kind of net it all out, you've got to say, okay, in our world, how many units, how many gallons, how many eaches, whatever unit of measure you want to use, have we sold comparatively this quarter of 23 that we're in now to the same quarter of, say, 19? Because in 2021 and 2, if you had price increases of 20%, well, then your sales today, if they're only 20% higher, that means you're actually going backwards in products sold. So that's something we're taking a very close look at and keeping an eye on. But yeah, going back to 2019, we were doing well. We were growing our market share and obviously saw related sales growth, and in sort of a twisted way, maybe 2023 will not only offer us a chance to catch our breath a little bit, but also in 21 and 22, you were just so busy trying to get orders out the door, or in the same light, so busy trying to find inventory to bring into the door to then turn around and send back out, that it really distracted us from what I would call organic growth efforts that distracted us from growing our marketing game. It distracted us from growing our organic sales game, and really some operational projects that we had going on, because it was sort of, 5-alarm fire, all hands on deck. Maybe in 23, things will become more manageable. Not that we want to go backwards in numbers, but growth will become more manageable in a way that we can continue to build out all the things behind the scenes that will perpetuate continued growth in 23, 24, 25, and so on.
Without going into specifics, I think there's no question 23 is going to be more of a foundational year, in that some things that we did, fourth quarter of 2022, and some other things that have been offshoots of that already, is going to cause us to have to do some things this year to then kind of further expand and build out that I'm excited about. I think it's due. And those are things that then will help propel us even further in the latter part of this year and in 2024.
Certainly. There were some things in 2022, talk about year in review. One of the things of 22 that's continued to hang over in 23 is the job market. Yeah. I think that's one thing that's probably helping continue to support the overall economy, despite the R word that you hear in the news, and again, do see some correction in some places. But it's the job market being as strong as it is great overall for a consumer spending based economy that we have. But really sucks for us and for other businesses, for a lot of businesses that are trying to hire people. It's interesting that you hear some of these large companies, the Googles, the Facebooks, a lot of the tech-based companies in particular, that are having layoffs. Although I think that there are plenty of tech companies out there that are just sucking those people back up.
Probably.
But going out and finding good quality, hardworking team members has bin a challenge.
Yeah. Hey, so if you're listening or watching this podcast, we need customer service concierges, which is customer service reps, coatings consultants, sales reps, chemicals consultants, sales reps, anyone from the industry with technical knowledge. We are looking for some technical coatings and chemicals consultants, so tech reps essentially, and then a variety of operational positions. So hit us up in the comments or connect with us at contact us at Accessa.com, and we'll be happy to connect you with what openings we have currently and see if we can't hook up. Operationally speaking, as we just kind of touched on, there's some things that I think will come about in 23 to make us more efficient. I think people are looking for, where can I gain more efficiencies? I can't maybe find all the bodies that I need right away. So how can I make up for that with improving my efficiency, whether that be automating certain things, using technology, whether that be in robotics or software or what have you. I know we're looking at a few things, but I think that will also take shape this year more than ever, just because some of the vibe we got from some of the trade shows in 22, for example, IWF in Atlanta, there was seemed to be a big buzz about companies who are smaller to mid-size investing in a lot of that robotic equipment that in the past was maybe only reserved for the big guys who had bigger checkbooks.
Yeah, I mean, coincidentally, I've been working a lot of nights. I'm almost complete with building a new robot of myself. I'm just going to take 2023 off and have a robot do all my work for me.
That'd be interesting.
I'm guessing you were talking about a different kind of robotics.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. All right. Well, it was worth a try.
So you're not doing that?
No. No. Probably wouldn't work out well.
Guys, in your comments, let us know what things that you guys are going to do in 23 that's different. Maybe something different that you guys have never done before. Speaking of being industrious, trying something new that you feel is going to drastically improve your business going forward that you never went down before. I'd be curious to see how everyone compares to the answers there. 23, one of the slogans I called 22 the year of the deuce. 23, I'm saying LFG, and 23 because I think if some some of the things we did in 2009 to prepare for 2010, 2011, I think lines up relatively well for what we're doing now to catapult through 23 and into 24. What stands out to you as some of the basic things that other companies should consider doing now when or if their business happens to be down a little bit?
The first word is cash.
Yeah.
You should, any business right now, during the good times, they say save during the good times, spend in the hard times, because when there's economic correction, typically prices come down, deals are offered, and if you are flush with cash, you can go out and buy things at a discounted rate,
right.
Which will only serve you better as things come back out of that trough, as the business cycle repairs itself or corrects itself in a positive way. So for us, we are definitely taking a strong focus on cash, on maintaining collection of accounts receivable and keeping those under control. As people, as our customers and their customers in the the whole food chain, if you see things starting to slow down and people aren't managing cash, then ultimately someone's not getting paid. If they're not getting paid, they can't pay their bills, and that road apple flows uphill and it flows downhill. And so we're really keeping a close eye on managing our accounts receivable, make sure that those stay under control. And that's challenging, as always, because sometimes you have to have challenging conversations or difficult conversations with customers that, everything we do, I think every business in some way is a relationship business, and we try to be a relationship business. But some people think that, if it's relationship, it's all relationship. Well, no, it's still business. There's got to be a good mix of both. And if you're not going to maintain strong principles of business, then you're not going to have a business.
Right.
So if number one is cash management, number two, I look for us as you kind of mentioned this 2023, and as it kind of goes back to my comment about maybe having a chance to breathe a little bit and get back to doing the things that really support organic growth and expansion. 2023 to me is I don't know if it's going to be the launch pad year necessarily, or if it's sort of like building the launch pad and building the rocket. And then maybe the latter part of 23 into 24 is going to be the actual launching of things. 2022, looking backward, again, like I said, was a lot like 21, where you were just trying to get product in the door and product out the door, that there wasn't a lot of strategic planning and strategic execution was challenging, because there was only so much bandwidth that one has. I think getting back into that 23 into 24 of really saying, okay, strategically speaking, how are we going to grow over the next 12 to 24 months, and then obviously beyond, but like near term 12, 24 months, and then using that work we're going to put in here over the next 6 to 12 months to launch us from there. So I'm actually really excited. There's just I guess I say this sort of tongue in cheek, but in a sort of to the downside, we almost have too many opportunities, too many opportunities to go after, that we have to really sort of eliminate some off the list or back burner some,
right,
because you can't take advantage of all of them at once, or else you'll never get any of them done. But we do have some really awesome opportunities in front of us that if we can execute our strategies, our strategic plan for 2023 appropriately or successfully, then I think we'll look back and say, despite any economic contraction that took place in any one industry or across any industries, we'll be able to look back and say, okay, we had a good year because we grew market share, we diversified our market share, we diversified our product offering, or we brought on new products that helped us, really avoid feeling any turbulence over the next, calendar year.
Yeah. I'm clearly no economist, but I'm pretty bullish on 23 in general. It's not going to have like wild outrageous numbers, but I'm fairly bullish on the rest of this year, with one exception, and that black swan event being the I guess unrest that exists right now with the pocket of Ukraine and Russia, and then what some other countries may be doing, thinking that they might pile on to try to spread us thin, and that is a little concerning right now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously any sort of geopolitical unrest or beyond, domestic unrest or beyond these days. I mean, not getting into politics, but there have certainly been, the current events of our country and the world. There are definitely some concerning issues and things to keep an eye on that could impact the economy and ultimately our business or our industry, coatings and manufacturing in general. I have faith in the resilience of the U.S. and not, I mean, the U.S., the government so much as the U.S. as people. I have faith in the resilience that we can get through any sort of challenging economic time. And I think 23 is going to be a good year. I'm a little leery of the latter half of the year and some little, I think it's going to be like whack-a-mole. Like you're gonna knock one down and another one's going to pop up. But it's going to be manageable. 2024, I don't have that crystal ball. But again, if we control what we are able to control, I think we'll be just fine.
Yeah. We take that to the bank.
I know some of our bankers have to be listening, and they're actually.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think they're opening up the vault right now.
Well, guys, we'd like to see your comments on what your predictions for 2023 are. Again, it's always good to hear from those of you guys who are listening or watching and get your input. Also, in addition, if you have any guests in mind that you'd like to see on this podcast in 23, please let us know as well. We'll do our best to have them on, or any topics in particular you want us to cover. We do have a couple episodes coming up, some focusing on B2B marketing or industrial marketing and other aspects of the industrial marketplace that we'll be happy to launch those once they're ready. So if you have any other ideas, though, let us know. We're happy to take a look at them. Anything else you want to wrap up with 2020 in review?
2020 in review or 2022? What year do you want to talk about?
22. The deuce.
No, I mean, I feel like we're only 1 month into 2023, and 2022 seems like it was a decade ago already.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the way it works. No, I'm pretty proud of our company. I'm proud of all of our teammates. I was talking to someone just yesterday, and we were talking a little bit about the job market. And I said, we have very little turnover. We've got a lot of long-time employees that work their asses off for us and are really, not just are they good at what they do and they are hardworking, but they're also good people to be around. And I said, that to me, if you said, how do you know if you're doing something right? I don't know what we're doing right necessarily. But the fact that we've got people that show up day in and day out and work hard to take care of our customers and kind of uphold the values of the company, that tells me that something is going right. And I think that finding additional teammates that can fit in that mold to support our existing group, that tells me how good 2022 is. And if we can continue that, then that tells me that gives me faith that going forward, things will continue to work well for us.
Yep. Agreed. All right, guys, that's it for this follow-up or year in review episode. Thank you to all of you guys for watching us over 2022. We look forward to seeing you all join us in 23. And for those of you guys, again, on the Accessa YouTube channel, if you're checking us out there, if you haven't hit that subscriber button, please do so. And also hit the little notification bell so you can be alerted when new episodes drop like this very one. Thanks, guys. And don't forget, be industrious in 23. Thanks.